to shift it. We're going to bring in Nick Wright. Haven't talked to him in a while. He's been at the World Series of Poker. First things first, Nick Wright joining us live. So I started the top of the show today with this topic. So a story comes out from The Athletic that LeBron is not going to take a mid-level exemption. He was not willing to do it, but he had his eyes on the Dallas Mavericks, which I have said I think Cooper's better than Austin Reeves as a young player. AD's better than DeAndre Ayton. They have a better bench, a better coach, and they have more depth. I think Dallas competes for the championship if LeBron shows up. Now, they're going to have to give up 3 first-round picks, Gafford, P.J. Washington, Max Christmas, but I think it'd be a really interesting team. But what's interesting to me is I said this. LeBron in 2016 or 2019 acknowledged, I'm chasing a goat. I'm chasing a ghost. He played for Chicago. He said, I think in his head, LeBron's like, listen, Michael's more beloved. Michael's net worth is $3.5 billion. Mine's $1. I'm never going to catch him. And the truth is, I'm taking the money. I mean, that's the one. I got more points. My son made the league. I'm taking the money. That I do think there's a part of LeBron that he knows going back to Cleveland, that's a better roster for him. Going back to Dallas, Cooper, AD, coach, that's a better opportunity. But Michael's still in his head, and he's just going to take the money and bleed it out for another year in L.A.
Okay. I think I disagree with every single piece of that. So let's go one by one. You did a very interesting. I don't know that I agree with you that next year Cooper Flagg will be already better than Austin Reeves. Maybe, but let's just say that's a push. Obviously, Anthony Davis, yes, is better than DeAndre Ayton. But there's one guy on the Lakers, I'm trying to remember who it was, who you didn't do the tit for tat with. Oh, yeah, Luka Doncic. So who's the guy on the Mavs that cancels out Luka Doncic on the Lakers? I'm just curious. And, like, as a crazy thought exercise, like, if you traded the best player on the Mavs, Anthony Davis, for Luka Doncic, what do you think the public reaction would be? Who won that trade? Or did somebody get concussed and it was the worst trade in NBA history? So there's that piece of it where if Kyrie were healthy, and then you could talk me into it. But I think Kyrie's going to miss certainly most, if not all, of next year. So then this is why the LeBron money thing to me is so wildly unfair. First of all, he's the only guy in the NBA that has ever asked of this. And we can say, well, he's made the most money, but all of the best players have made hundreds of millions of dollars. And LeBron last year finished 6th in MVP voting, got the 6th most All-NBA votes, and the fact that he makes slightly less than Zach LaVine makes me feel like he's at the very least unfairly compensated in his direction. Steph Curry, who LeBron, by every vote, all the awards, every metric, LeBron was better than last year, is the highest paid player in the league. No one has a problem with it. So there's that piece of it. There's the other piece of it, which is I think a lot of people are acting as if LeBron opted out and took the minimum and then won a championship, that we are all pretending that championship would not have been met with eye rolls and stacked the deck and fake title. All of LeBron's titles, by the way, Ray Allen saved him, Kyrie saved him, bubble championship, every LeBron championship, no matter the competition, no matter how well he's played, some folks have tried to put an asterisk on. If he took the minimum to go play for a team that won 64 games, people would definitively try to put an asterisk on it. So I don't think that there was a way for LeBron to do this where he was going to escape criticism. I also think that what is true is no one ever can have everything in life. And LeBron, because of the salary cap situation across the league this year, had to choose between $52 million or $5 million if he wanted to leave the Lakers and go to a contender. And leaving $47 million on the table is not appealing to anybody. And so I understand it. I'm also not 100% certain LeBron finishes the year as a Laker, but they've made some moves around the edges. Luka will be great. They will be contender-ish, and you'll see how they look at the deadline.
So I'm going to throw this. I know you're not a huge college football fan, but you have a great sense of history. And
Sure.
if you look at the NIL, Nick Saban can't go back to college because you're asking your boosters now to raise $20 million a year for NIL, and you'd have to pay Nick $60 million, and you'd have to buy out your coach for $40 to $50 million. He's not going to Bama. He's not going to any of these schools, Michigan. There's just no way that colleges they can't, outside of Texas, nobody can afford to do that, and Sark's going nowhere. But I do think 6 coaches a year get fired. Coordinators are at best a coin flip. That if I was Cleveland and got the number 1 pick and they're in the running for the worst team, I would draft Arch Manning. I would hire Nick Saban. Tell me if you ran a team in this league or owned it, you would not call 73-year-old Nick Saban. I floated it last week. Even Urban Meyer said, oh, yeah, he'll take an NFL call. Do you believe that? Would you hire him?
Oh, I definitely, yeah. I mean, I don't know that he would definitively be my number 1 choice first phone call because Mike Tomlin might be available after this year. I'm just picking that name out of the hat. But you know what I mean? There's very often there's a really good coach who just kind of has passed at his destination who comes available. So I'm not saying Nick Saban would be the number 1 candidate for every job. But the idea that your take was a hot take, I think, is ridiculous. Age notwithstanding, he clearly has the energy, the attention to detail, the football mind, and I do think that what NIL has done is it has leveled the playing field in as much as if Saban went back to college, his historic recruiting prowess would be muted to a degree in a way it wasn't while he was stacking up national championships at Auburn. So, yeah, I mean, you mentioned, I mean, I'll throw a different one at you that is same state, different team. If this coming year goes the way I think it might for Cincinnati, I think Nick Saban's an interesting idea there. Where a team, it's like, listen, got to coach up the defense, got to have someone to actually have as big of a voice in the organization as the owner, got to clean up some of the nonsense going into years they deal with every year, again, most of which is owner-related, and let Joe and Jamar handle the offense. Like almost offload the offense to them. You handle the details, finding some of the edges in young players from the college game that you're very aware of their skill set, and coach up the defense, because the only point that you made that I kind of disagree with is if I'm Nick Saban and I want to do this, I'm not that interested in a studs to the top-down rebuild. I'm much more interested in I've got 3 or 4 years. Let me see if I can have a contender immediately. I think the Bengals, who if they miss the playoffs again, probably will be looking for a new coach. I think they could be an attractive one.
So now living in Chicago, and by the way, taking the train Monday through Friday.
I know. Yeah. Man of the people. Man of the
you.
people. Nobody loves Chicago more than Colin Cowherd in July. Very excited for the November update. Very excited. Hey, I took the train today. I'm covered in salt. I slipped on the ice. There's no palm trees. Again, I'm rooting for you, buddy. But it's been a long time since you were a rustic Midwesterner, about 30 years and maybe as many millions ago. So we'll see. Let's just wait and see. Go ahead.
So I'm thinking about Caleb Williams. If you turn on radio in Chicago, it's Cubs and Caleb Williams. And I still have misgivings about ownership. I don't know if I love Ryan Poles, but I like Ben Johnson. I think the roster is pretty good, probably middle of the pack around Green Bay. If I had to say, you're pretty good at this, you're mathy. If I said, project how the season goes, we can put the schedule up, is that you've always been pretty good at kind of guessing how things work over the course of a season. And I've said, listen, he's too talented. Everything he makes mistakes at is coachable, like pocket presence. Well, we've seen Lamar Jackson grow. Accuracy, we've seen Josh Allen grow. All of his problems are solvable. When I give you this schedule, I want you to do a little fortune teller here. What do you think it looks like with Caleb Williams? Because I think that there are so many variables in how this thing could turn out. Because Chicago's a big, loud, football-loving city, and if he struggles early, Nick, you know this city, it could go sideways fast in public opinion.
But I think it goes the opposite.
Okay.
I think they have success early. I think they're 3-1 going into the bye and feeling quite good.
Okay.
I think that next group of games, they go, call it 2-2 in that next little quarter of the season. So that would put them at 5-3. You then have a tough 5-game stretch. Say they go 2-3 in that, they're 7-6. And then down the stretch of the season, a note on why I think this, I'll explain in a second. I think they go 10-7, 11-6, and I think that can win the division because I think the sub-story about when we're talking about the Bears is what about the Lions? And I've said this for years during the season that I was not going to continue. During the year, every year, there is a team that we think is going to be awesome that struggles, and we're like, what's different? And then we're like, oh, man, they lost both of their coordinators. That's hard for teams to deal with. That's the Detroit Lions. Also, the Lions, whose biggest strength has been their offensive line since Goff and Campbell have been together.
Yeah.
Their guard-center-guard combo going into this season might be one of the weakest in the league. If there's one way to make Lions Jared Goff turn into late and early stage Rams Jared Goff, it's pressure up the middle. All of that, plus those back-to-back absolutely gut-wrenching playoff defeats, I could see the Lions dropping from 15 wins to 10 wins.
Yeah.
So, listen, I think the Bears' defense is going to be a work in progress. I think the offense is instantly going to be much, much better because Caleb will be better and because Ben Johnson will be worlds better from a play design, play calling standpoint they had last year. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that the Bears win the division, and I certainly expect them in the playoffs. Like, Caleb is too talented, and Caleb is too, I think the creativity is a good thing to not be a very good NFL quarterback. I thought very good was the floor, and I thought all-time great was the ceiling. One mediocre year is not going to push me off that. So I think the Bears are quite dangerous this year, Colin. Now, I did pick them to go to the Super Bowl last year, so maybe I'm wrong again. But
well, I do think Detroit's the one great team last year that has pullback potential based on your thoughts. Yes. I also think J.J. McCarthy is a complete and utter wild card, and if it's average, well, you're just battling Green Bay, who PFF said yesterday, or it was ESPN's data team said, Packers, Bears, 14th, 15th best roster. So there's not a big gap in personnel there. Nick Wright, first things first. As always, buddy, great seeing you.
You as well. Good to see you, Colin.
All right.